isn't safety just common sense? Have you ever thought that? Have you ever heard that? You probably said yes to both of those. I know I've heard it. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and they say, safety is just common sense. Well, in this episode, I want to unpack that. I want to dive into that and try to explain it and hopefully make you think, because safety is so much more than common sense. I'm not saying it's not common sense. It's just more. But here's the truth. Common sense fails. If common sense worked, people wouldn't get hurt. Unless we just have stupid people working with us. Let's talk about it. Well, hey friend, my name is David Sawyer. I'm a safety coach. I work with busy safety managers to help them go from feeling overwhelmed to OSHA ready. And if you haven't already done it, go to my website, helpwithosha.com, and download a free OSHA audit checklist. If you're wondering, where do I start with safety? This is it. Start here. Access this free OSHA audit checklist, and it will walk you through exactly what you need to know to prepare your company for an unexpected OSHA visit. It's not just a PDF, it's actually access to a video and a checklist that will show you what you need to do to prepare your company, but it will also show you the next step. It'll show you how you can access a safety assessment so that you can go the next step and dive into your program and make it better. And in this episode, we're going to talk about common sense. For years, I had a tagline that said, bringing common sense to safety. And the reason I had that tagline is because it just made sense to me. You see, when I started out in safety, everything was so complicated. OSHA regulations are complicated. Company programs are complicated. Everything seemed to be written in legalese. It wasn't written for people. And I just thought, I want to help safety managers make things simple. I want to make things clear and easy to understand. We don't have to make this complicated. It's not rocket science. But I've discovered something. Safety's more than just common sense. You see, I was using common sense as the same thing as simple. And they're not. They're not the same thing. In my mind, they were, but I've realized they're not. And the other end of it, and this will be my first point. My first point I want to say is people think if I just got rid of all the stupid people, safety would be so much easier. Well, trust me, common sense and stupid people, they don't have a whole lot in common. You've probably heard the saying, common sense isn't common anymore. But what I want to get you to think about is this. When the pressure heats up, when things get busy, when people get in a hurry, common sense fades. And the reason it fades is because people start to make bad decisions because they're in a hurry. That's what I've learned. The best safety managers don't rely on common sense. They rely on a system. They rely on a system that helps people do things the same way every time so it becomes simple. See, I still think we need simplicity. Like that's a bedrock. We need that. As safety managers, we need to make safety simple to the people around us. We need to set very clear expectations with the people around us. But we can't just count on them to have common sense and not do stupid things, not make bad decisions, not get in a hurry. Good people make bad decisions when they're under pressure. That's a fact. Think about it. Have you ever made a bad decision? I know I have. I'm sure you have too. And you are more likely to make a bad decision when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're frustrated, when you feel like you're under the gun to get something done. I'll tell you a real quick story. When I was a kid, I used to work on charter boats. And when I was about 13 years old, I was thrilled because I had the opportunity to go fishing on a charter boat in the Gulf Stream and to work on the boat as the mate. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, I grew up off of North Carolina, or I grew up in eastern North Carolina and used to fish off the coast of North Carolina. And this charter boat, we went offshore and we were pulling ballyhoo, we were trolling, and we would have, we were trying to catch mahi-mahi or wahoo or tuna or sailfish or something. And I knew how to fish, right? I knew how to do this. I had done it growing up with my dad and worked on different boats. But this was the first opportunity to go offshore. And we went offshore, and there were some guys on the boat that were kind of intimidating. And I wanted to show my stuff as somebody that, I knew what I was doing. I knew how to rig the baits. I knew how to fish. And we had 3 rods go off at the same time. Now, this is exciting. I mean, this is exciting. You got 3 rods going off at the same time, and you got people reeling in fish. And as the mate, your job is to help get the fish from the water into the boat. So the customer would wind the fish up, and when the swivel got up to the rod tip, my job was to grab the leader and to bring the fish in the boat. Well, one of these fish had a wire leader, which means the fish had teeth. And so rather than use monofilament or fishing line, we actually had wire there so that the teeth couldn't bite through the bait. Well, I didn't know that. And I remember in the melee, in the rush, in the hurriness, I ran down there, and rather than grab my gloves, which I should have grabbed my gloves to use to pull in the wire leader, I ran down there and just went to grab the line and then realized it was wire. And thank God the captain said, "David, don't do that. I'll take care of it." He said it stern, he said it firm, and he went down, and I was embarrassed. But he grabbed the line with the gloves and he pulled in the fish, and it was a pretty nice size wahoo, if I do say so myself. It was pretty cool. But that memory got burned in my mind. I almost grabbed this wire line, and if that fish had run, I would have sliced my hand wide open, because that wire would have run through my fingers and sliced my hand wide open. I was 13 years old. I was excited. I was energized. I was ready to go. I was trying to prove myself. Now, let's get back into the workplace and think about safety for a minute. Do you have anybody working with you? Maybe they're not 13, but maybe they're 23. Maybe they're 33. And they're eager and they're in a rush and they're trying to prove themselves? Yeah, it happens all the time. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It means they make bad decisions when they're put under pressure. That's why we have to have a system. Great safety managers don't rely on common sense. They have a system in place. That's one thing that I learned, because common sense fails under pressure. When I ask workshops and people that I'm training in training classes, and I ask, what causes accidents? Let me ask you that. Think about it for a minute. What causes accidents? Well, there's lots of things that can cause accidents, right? It can be an equipment failure. It could be somebody that makes an unsafe behavior, an unsafe movement. There's all kinds of things, right? Depending on what you're talking about. You're talking about chemicals or forklifts or machines or ladders or whatever it is. But one thing that so many accidents have in common is somebody is in a hurry. They're in a hurry and they take a shortcut. They're in a hurry and they take a shortcut. Does that sound familiar? They take the shortcut not because they're stupid, not because they don't have common sense. They take the shortcut because they're in a hurry, and that seems like the easiest solution. Unsafe decisions happen because people are in a hurry. Systems protect people when human behavior breaks down. You see, we're all human. We get that rush of adrenaline where we do something. And it is so important to know that your environment really has a big impact on the decisions you make. So if you're working in a place that's high pressure, right? If you're on a conveyor belt and there's boxes coming down the line, nobody can be standing beside you and tell you, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But you feel it. You feel it. You feel it on those boxes. And that's how your employees feel. When they're on the production line and they're working and they feel work piling up, it's that pressure. When it's 5 o'clock, or let's say it's 4:50, and you know, hey, I'm ready to go home, and you still got a lot of stuff to do, you are tempted to take a shortcut. That's why it's so important to have systems dialed in. If you don't have a system, you will have a failure. Safety programs, are they required? Yes, they're required. We all know that. You have to have a lockout tagout program. You have to have a hazard communication program. But why do they matter? Why can't we just say, well, it's just common sense. Just have common sense and label your chemicals. Just have common sense and lock out your machines before you work on it. Have common sense and use the forklift the right way. The reason people get injured is not because they're stupid. It's because they're in a hurry and they make bad decisions under pressure. You've got to have systems in place. You don't have to be an OSHA expert. You don't have to have OSHA memorized, but you have to have a system. That's something I help out my clients with. You see, I'm a safety coach, and one thing I've done is I have created a system to help new managers understand safety. And it's not about memorizing OSHA regulations. Yes, we need to know OSHA, but we don't have to have everything memorized. We can have that in our pocket. We can have that in an old-fashioned book. But what you can't have in your pocket is a system. So let me unpack the system that I use. You see, I want to make sure that everyone understands there's a structure. And so the best leaders have a repeatable system. The system that I help new safety managers with is called my stress-free safety system. My stress-free safety framework. This is a framework that I use in every industry with every client. And I'm going to tell it to you because it's not hard to understand, okay? The very first step is you have to do a safety assessment. You have to do you have to break it down and understand exactly where you are, right? A snapshot in time. What do we look like today? What are our programs, our training, our environment? It's essentially an inspection where we look around and we go, where are we right now? Not where we want to be in 6 months, not where we were 6 months ago, but we have a safety assessment to determine where we are right now. You have to accept where you are right now. You have to understand that. And if you just stepped into the role as a safety manager, you've got to understand, where am I? Where are the gaps in my system? From there, the second part of it is, once you identify the gaps and where people could get hurt, the second part is you set clear expectations with your employees. This is the way we're going to do it. So we have a clear expectation, and we have training, and we have communication to make sure people know this is what good looks like. You can't just say, go be safe. Go be safe. You know, one of the things that ticks me off, it really burns me up, is when I look on an accident report And on the accident report, the supervisor fills it out. The supervisor fills out the accident report. And at the bottom of the accident report, there's a question that says something like, what could have been done to prevent this accident? And what really ticks me off is when the supervisor says, employee needs to be more careful. That kind of sounds like saying employees should have used common sense. Yeah, obviously, in hindsight, they should have been more careful. They should have used common sense. That's not going to prevent it next time. That's not going to prevent it next time. You got to have a system. So, setting clear expectations, clarifying what good looks like. This is what we expect. That's the second part. And then the third part is you got to build a culture to where people take ownership over safety, and it's not just on your supervisors. It's not just on you. It's on everybody. Now, is there a leader? Absolutely. Is there a structure? Absolutely. But we are not taking everything on ourselves. Let me tell you a secret. As a safety manager, you will get burned out, frustrated, and hate your job if you take everything on your own shoulders. It was never meant to work that way. It was never supposed to work that way. You have to have a team. So, quick recap. I have a system, my stress-free safety system. 3 parts. Do a safety assessment. Find out where people are going to get hurt, where the gaps are. The second part, set clear expectations and communicate with your team. The third part, build a safety culture where people take ownership over what they do. If you do these 3 things, you will have a system that will go so far beyond common sense. Now, if this resonated with you, I told you at the beginning, go download, access my free OSHA audit checklist. On that checklist at the bottom, there is a link to my stress-free safety workshop. This is where you can go and you can watch where I deliver a workshop, and you can take notes and you can soak it in and you can understand exactly the system that I'm talking about. Because this stress-free safety system, I tell you all about it in my workshop. And then from there's going to be a way that you can actually do your own safety assessment. This is a great place to get started. Go to my website, helpwithosha.com, access the free OSHA audit checklist. Do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till you hire somebody. Do it today. Safety is so much more than common sense. So much more than common sense. Until we talk again, do everything you can to keep the people you work with safe, because no one should get hurt at work.